edit on release is one of the most important settings in all of Fortnite, and I'm going to help you decide in just a few minutes whether to put it on or off. I'm going to be as straightforward as possible, and I will try to give you all the in-depth answers you've been searching all over the internet for. So let's begin. First, we'll have to quickly sum up some information about edit on release. Let's start with the pro players. Some of the best pros that have edit on release turned off are people like Polarized, Cold, or Clicks. But on the other hand, you also have World Cup winner Booga, Peterbot, or Cooper, for example. 3 major tier 1 pros that are always on top of the leaderboard. Let me first start off by telling some of the most important pros and cons of both settings. Let's start with edit on release on. You can edit way faster, you have to press less keys, you can feel good about editing it fast, but there's nothing really to it other than fast editing and the satisfaction of your mechanics and edit courses. There are some major cons though. You get a lot of issues if you want to become a pro player. You have to have perfect aim to make up for the bad peaks, and you also get worse movement and very limited experience with fighting. And now with edit on release off. There aren't many downsides if you use it correctly. Only one I can think of is mechanics not being as fast, or that you have to learn great edit timing. But I know a lot of mechanical demons with edit on release off, and they do just fine. Well, firstly, you can take perfect peaks. You automatically get better tournament performance if you use edit on release off correctly, which I will get into in a few seconds, and so much more. It's basically a fighter starter pack. And I already hear you writing that question mark filled comment, but if Booga and Peterbot can, why can't I go pro? That's bullshit. Calm down, alright? Later. I'll explain later. But now let's get into it a little bit more. Let's talk about why you can't automatically adjust to it or even play different when you switch the setting. If you have edit on release turned off, but you don't use that advantage to take good peaks, it's basically walking around with weights on your feet. Sure, there are some more advantages, for example playing smarter, taking more of your time sometimes, and scanning better. Basically better fighting is what all comes with edit on release off. But some people tend to not use that and still play as dumb as ever, just throwing edit cores after edit cores and taking dumb 50-50s. If you're that guy, you might want to do something about it. Switch it on or just try to play smarter, please. Next up is aiming. If you wonder why Booga or Peterbot can do so good in tournaments while having it on, it's because they have perfect aim to make up for your crosshair placement. For example, they can win almost every 50-50, which means they can benefit from having the setting turned on rather than off, because it also gives them faster builds and edits, etc. If you're already inconsistent with your crosshair placement, you shouldn't consider switching edit on release on. And since we're talking about crosshair placement, let me quickly go in game and show you the differences. Now that we're in game, I'd like to show you why sacrificing your crosshair placement can be really bad. I have edit on release turned off, and as you can see, I can be fully protected by my wall and look at the opponent so that I know where he is for better damage. But if we turn the setting on, then you can see that I have to sacrifice my crosshair placement by looking up while making the edit. It doesn't seem too bad now, but it can really add up, and especially if your opponent takes advantage of that. And since you can't see where he is, it makes it easy for him to make a play on you and kill you. Quickly before we move on, it is important to understand these fundamentals if you have edit on release off. Let me switch edit on release off for just a second here. And for example, if you make the edit like this, then you have no use of having edit on release off because you're not peeking correctly. Now that we've covered that, it's time for my final thoughts and the recap of this video. We've talked about a lot of things what can help you decide whether or not to have edit on release on or off. But to sum it up, if you mainly play with your friends in Zone Wars or PGs, then I'd recommend turning it on. But if you're serious about going pro, then I would turn it off for the best fighting experience and competitive to see the best results. Thank you all so much for watching this video, and I will catch you all soon.